Yes, you're
Visual Studio Code.
on screen.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, we have the Llamachant framework modules. These are free to download and use. We created these because in every project we were putting together, we were always doing the same collection of things. So we kept duplicating the controllers. So we said, you know what, let's take those and just put them into our modules. A lot of them are samples that came from DevExpress directly that we just tweaked and made usable for our own. But we use this in pretty well every project that we create. You can get to that from our website, lamachant.com, right here on the main page, or up under resources. There's a few pieces here that are useful, including our code snippets, the framework module, a video, a security preview module that you'll actually see today as well, and our controller management module, which we talked about a few sessions back, to basically deactivate and try to identify bad controllers. So in the Llamachant framework module, the last update was the end of 2019. We haven't touched this in forever. It just works for what we need. We asked if you use these, by all means, let us know. We like knowing how people use our modules. Please do not resell our modules as a product. You can put them in your products and sell those. That's fine. Just don't sell our module on its own. So yeah, we both basically focus on Win and Web. Some items are, Win and Web. Some are Win only. Some we don't have any that are Web only. But you can go through these and see what the basic features are. These are not really well documented. I'd love to have somebody come and document these for me in a bit more detail. Like I said, we've been using them, so I'll just give you a quick run through today as to how these work. So at the bottom, I click download. I grab the actual project files, include them in my project, add my references, and so on and so forth. And so what I end up with is this structure here where I have my XAF application, Win and Web, and then my modules in here. Okay. What's really kind of cool about these modules is that when I run these after including them, they don't really do anything. They just sit there passively until you turn the options on and off. So you're not going to experience really strange things just by adding our modules. So everything's in here. I can see it. I can open up like my business objects. Everything looks fairly normal. I go into, come on now. Right, I go into my different views. Everything, it's a standard look and feel. Nothing's changed. When I go into the model file, I'll do it at runtime, but of course it's off the screen again. There we go. When you go into the model file, there's a section under options, which are the Llamachant framework. And so we have a bunch of, just quickly turn on and off options. So deleting non-aggregated objects. What we find is, let me flip back to this. So many times when you create a many-to-many collection, there's no aggregation whatsoever. You end up with things like involved teams where you can link and unlink from different teams, right? So from different objects. And 100% of our users will go in here and say, oh, I don't want this one in here anymore. Delete. They think they're removing it from the collection on this object. They think they're going to remove this, the reporting team from my project. But in reality, they're deleting the reporting team. So the first option we give them is the ability to remove that everywhere. Say, hey, you're not allowed to remove those objects. So what happens is when I go back into my projects to that many-to-many, that delete is gone. I say link, unlink, click new, take my pick. When I go into the actual detail view, again off the screen, then I can go and delete it. So it's just an extra step to protect users from doing stupid things. So we come across that all the time. I'm going to turn a bunch of these options on next. So bigger. So the allow font size selection, again, this is Windows only. Turn that to true. Allow summary panel menu item. Turn that on. Bold tabs with counts. So this is actually bolding tabs that have items inside of it. We used to combine this with the show counts and tabs. We split them out, but we kept the naming the same. I'll do that for both. The show type name and open object. Something we've seen in the open object action is it doesn't show what you're going to be opening, depending on what you have selected. And then we have some audit trail specific stuff. So can you restore from an audit trail? This is I call this experimental, but in reality it works quite well as long as you have the full audit trail on. And who can view the audit trail? And the options here for both of these are either all, everybody can view or restore from audit trail, or you can make it user specific. So I'll make these user specific. I'll save it. Now we'll get out of here and we'll see kind of what's going on. So right away you can see my tabs here are bold with a count inside of them. This is handy when you have nested tabs. If I had a collection of 5, 10 tabs, do they have notes? Do they have collections of items? You can go and find that just by seeing the number or by seeing the fact that it's bold. All right, same thing here. We put in the font size option. So under the view, we have this font size, and I can pick, I want to go extra large. So people who are visually impaired or people who have high DPI monitors, but your application is not set to handle high DPI, this is a great option. And you can actually determine what sizes you want as part of that model. So let me flip back in here again. Under the options, we have these font sizes. You can add your own collection here, whatever you want to call them, change the sizes, and away you go. Alrighty, looking at the audit trail side of things, this is kind of neat. So under the tools, I'd normally have an audit trail available here, but because my user doesn't have, I made it user specific, my user, which I called an employee in this case, doesn't have rights to view or restore from the audit trail. So I'll just check both of those off. And I should have to log out actually. Of course, I've done the Active Directory authentication, so there's no logout. Pops me back in here, and now under the tools, I should have my view audit trail. So I can click into here, it brings up my list, and I can see what's changed when. Very simply. The restore from audit trail is kind of cool. So if you're familiar with deleting objects in XAF with deferred deletion, and really only when you have deferred deletion on, the related aggregate objects become disconnected. So in the database, typically a contact will have a company ID or a client ID that relates back to this parent object. So when you delete, it destroys that relationship for a good reason. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So now on my client list, I have no clients. So I can go back into my tools and I can actually say restore data. Of course, we say it's experimental. We say that because we don't know how your objects work. So don't rely on this 100%. But like I said, in most cases, it works very, very well. And so I can actually go in here and search for items that I deleted within a specific range. And we do this because the audit trail tables can get extremely heavy. What I can see here now, these are all the things that I deleted when I deleted my client. So if I want to bring my client back, I can actually do a preview to show me what's going to be restored. So it's saying, hey, I'm going to restore all of these items. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pick that one. I'll say restore. I'll go back to my client list and refresh. And there's my client back. All the relationships are back in place. My project has all of its links again, including the many-to-manys. So it's a really nice way if somebody screws up and deletes the wrong thing, you don't have to try to reassemble it. You just use the one-click tool.
I don't have anything to say against that. That's a really, really, really neat tool.
We spent hours restoring stuff from audit trails in the past. People don't have backups, and you're just like, ugh, what changed? So just having the one-click tool to do it is so much easier.
Yeah.
Once we put toolbar options in, so you can hide toolbars and show toolbars. that kind of thing, we've put this show summary panel in here. So that just puts the option at the bottom, so you can do your aggregates, your counts, your mins, your max, your average, all that jazz. Just the click of a button. So it's just convenience. If I hide the toolbar, I have the option to show the toolbar again. It's quick and easy. That works on web as well. In the background, there's some kind of cool things that happen that make development of your objects a little bit easier. So we'll go have a look at that. So in pretty well every application we create, we like to do a little lightweight auditing to show who created an object, who modified it last, and if somebody deleted it, who do we go and blame? So we create a custom base object. And so in here, you'll see I have this, it comes from my typical base object. You can make that from whatever persistent base you want. But we do a, created on, created by, modified on, modified by, deleted on, deleted by. And to make the process of tracking this easier, we've built this tracked object helper where we call the after construction. You can pass in the name of a created by field, and if it's a user, we'll basically assign the current user to it. And that happens for your after construction, your on saving and on deleting. The reason we put it in a tracked object helper, I mean, you could put this into these methods directly, but when you have a situation like in security, when you've extended employee with the permission policy user, you can't then inherit from a second object. It doesn't work. So we put this iTracked object interface on our custom base object. I can do the exact same thing in my employee. I haven't done it here, but I can do the exact same thing, and I'm adding basically those fields and those 3 lines of code to replicate the same functionality to keep consistency across the entire application. What else? Oh, we have an option for, I'll go to the security preview after. Let's look at the options. So in pretty well, again, every application we create, we have one options table. And what typically happens is that people will have a list of, those options, and somehow they'll create a second version of it, and then you don't know which one to load. So we create this iSingleton BO interface. If it has it, it's a bit of a nasty implementation, to be honest. It expects that you're going to have this get instance method here, but because it's static, we can't actually enforce that in the interface. But basically, when I go to program options in the navigation, even though the navigation item is set to be the program options list view, it's automatically going to intercept that and show you the detail view instead. So you're only ever going to have one instance of that object. So just by adding that, you add the 1 or 2 methods, the same thing, and adding this interface, it just takes care of that for you. Really quick and easy. The last thing I want to jump in on is the security preview. So actually it's not part of our framework, but it is something that we do up in the security preview module. So there's a little bit of a video on how this works. Basically, there's one controller that manages the switching back and forth of security. And what I like to do is put an option on my employee class or my user class that says, can they do a security preview? And in most cases, I'll make this browsable false. So you have to set it in the database directly. So users can't just go in and say, yeah, I can preview security. But basically what happens is as I'm working on, working on my security roles, so I have employee role here, I have 2 roles right now. And in this role, I'm saying, hey, you're not allowed to see the employees, the employee roles, or the project teams over here. And type permissions, I turn a few things off. Great. I can then go to the tools, say preview security, and say I want to flip to the basic user. Logs me out, logs me back in, and now I'm in as a user. So I can go in and be like, oh yeah, I can't see that. That's right. What if I go into project? Can I actually edit projects? Can I see the project teams? Can I create a new? Oh, I can create a new team still, right? So I can flip back and forth very quickly back to an administrator, go back and change my role again, flip back, and I can do all that over and over for every single type that I'm working with. It's a really quick way to create roles. If I create a new one here, this will be a read-only user. Read-only by default. When I go to my tools, it's not going to be here because it's new. I'll refresh this. Now I can go back to my read-only user. Here I go. So this is a really convenient way to go back and just test those roles out. Any questions? Anything come up in the chat? I haven't looked in the chat in a while.
So far so good, Dave. I think there is no questions at the moment, but
Beautiful.
The presentation is great. I love this feature of being
one
able to switch.
One jurisdiction component to have a support for Blazor, or only WebZap?
It's only WebZap right now, and it's a limited subset of those features. So let me go into the web module real quick. It's a weird Visual Studio bug with refreshing when you're presenting, strangely enough. So I go to my options. So on the web side, I can do the, where are you? Module.web. Did I add the module? Same deal. Come back here. Nope. There we go. Let me go ahead and rebuild that. I should close that there. Rebuilding, build succeeded. Close that down. We'll go back in here now. There we go up here. So again, the non-aggregates, returning delete, turn that off. Bolds, we can put in the audit trail. It can be viewed. And then the show counts. So things like the toolbar, I think that's already an option out of the box. Whoops, I'm up on the wrong thing here. Yeah, it's not set up for Blazor yet. We haven't touched this since the end of 2019. As we start getting more into Blazor projects, we're working on a couple right now. But as we start getting more and more, and as we see more emerge from DevExpress as well, we will readjust, and these modules make them work in Blazor.
There was one question. Are the modules added to my app, or do you need inherit from one you defined? So do you need a base class like Llamachant module or Llamachant?
No, so yeah. I know with things like Expand Framework, there for a while at least, there was a need to inherit from that application type. In this case, no. You're just dragging the modules in like you would any one of the other modules. It's really straightforward. Oh, I'm still in the wrong user. Administrator. Here we go. There's my tabs, and there's no delete button. Right, so those are the things that just kind of help out along the way. It's pretty
Very
passive
convenient.
Until you turn things on. If you don't want, if a user hates the idea of having the numbers in there, for that individual user, go into the model and turn it off.
Right.
Problem solved. So yeah, that is it for me.